Hey y'all, happy Wednesday. Welcome back to Soulibration. I'm your host, Shameika Rhymes. And well, let me know how you're doing. I mean, it already feels like it's been a long week, but again, it's only Wednesday. Let me know how you're doing, where you're watching from. Drop that in the chat. And remember to share this with your network because they may be interested in this topic. And if you have any questions throughout the show, make sure you put that also in the chat and we'll try to get to them throughout. So tonight on Soulibration, we're going to continue part 2 of the weight loss series. I don't know if you guys tuned in, and if you didn't, you can always go back and watch that video. But last week we talked about gut health and its relation to weight loss. This week, we're going to be talking about another angle. So do y'all remember that 3-day diet? I don't know if y'all ever did that where you're eating like a piece of cheese and some tuna and an egg and just like this straight like 3 days of barely eating. Probably not even 700 calories. Or have you done the water diet? Or have you just restricted your calories to the point where you are just exhausted and wondering why that weight is falling off? But then when you start to eat again, it's coming back on. Let me know in the chat what diets you've tried. So, we're going to take a look tonight at whether popular fad diets truly deliver results. Because you're like I said, you're going to lose that weight, but can you keep it off? So, those diets that you find on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, like anywhere on social media or even some blogs, like, do they really work? So joining me today to talk about that, and we're also going to talk about the effectiveness of weight loss strategies and take a look at appetite suppressants, because I know some of you were asking about that last week. But Dr. Erica Francois is here, and she's going to be sharing her thoughts on how to achieve your weight loss goals in a healthy and sustainable way. But let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Francois. She's a native of Tampa, Florida, and her educational background comprises of a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, a Master of Science in Nursing, and a Doctor of Nursing Practice. She is degreed up, y'all. And she's also got 18 years of nursing experience under her belt. And for the last 7 years, she was specializing in bariatric surgery and weight management at Tampa General Hospital, and now has her own private practice. Shout out to you, New Vitality Health and Wellness, where she provides comprehensive weight management solutions and IV hydration services. Welcome, Dr. Francois.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
I just love saying your last name, Francois. Well, I am so glad that you are here to help continue the conversation. Just even glancing at the comments, it looks like some viewers have tried a lot of those diets and more. Goodness, it's just sometimes you want that weight to come off and you're just willing to try anything to get it off, right?
Right.
So, like I was saying, many people are tempted by these quick fix solutions, like whether it's those over the counter diet pills or these diets they find on social media. What are the potential dangers that they could be facing?
So there are quite a few, because some of us do have different comorbidities like, hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes. And so when you're trying these diets, you're potentially, yes, putting your health at risk. For example, there's it was fun looking up some of these diets, like the fruit diet. If a diabetic did that, they could potentially go into diabetic ketoacidosis, because yes, fruit is good for us, but it contains sugar. And at the end of the day, sugar is sugar, whether it's from an apple or from a honey bun. Sugar is sugar. So it can potentially put those types of patients and extreme danger. So like too much of anything, right? You've probably heard about the water diet. We've had some of those cases down in Florida. It was like a radio station or something. They had a water challenge, and you were like, how could I drink too much water? How is that so? But you can actually drown yourself with drinking too much water and have water intoxication. So some of these diets, and when we go to the very extreme, can be just too much of an overload for anything.
What is the water diet? I've heard about it and I've heard people say they've done it, but I don't really know what it is, so that people can just stay away from it.
So the we should typically drink about half of our body weight
Mm-hmm.
in ounces. So that's where you probably get like you hear about, drinking about 64 ounces of water per day. Someone
Right.
that's about 150, 160 pounds. That's what they should drink. But this type of diet is just solely just water, drinking like 3 to 4 gallons, 5 gallons of water per day.
Mm-hmm.
And you can literally, like I said, drown yourself. So, and also you're potentially at danger because some of the electrolytes in our body follow water. So when water will be flushed out, we're taking out the potassium in our body. We're taking out the sodium in our body as well, the magnesium, all of these electrolytes that help our heart to beat. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're putting yourself at extreme danger to be low in potassium, low in magnesium, and all of these electrolytes that we need for our body to function. So,
Wow. I'm like, how I don't even know how people get through that diet because I'm
right,
struggling to drink 1 gallon of
right.
water.
Right. That's I totally agree with you on that, Shameika. I'm very transparent with my patients. I have a hard time drinking water. That's one of my issues too. So to be on that diet, I know for sure that wouldn't work for me as well.
I am so sorry. My internet
Oh,
decided
I don't know. Okay, I was like,
good,
oh,
and it's not even storming. It's because I was talking about a full moon earlier, Mercury retrograde, or whatever everybody was talking about on social. So I am sorry, y'all. We're back.
no, it's all right. I was like, oh, where did it go?
So we were just talking about the water diet, but so for fad diets, obviously they promise those quick results, but do
Yes.
they really work in the long term? Because obviously I do know some of them you can drop that 10 pounds quickly if it's if you stick to it. And like you mentioned to me backstage that if there's like a special event, yes, you can drop that weight, but what are the potential risks as well, like if you drop it that quick?
That quick. So at the end of the day, just as fast as we can drop it, it can come back. So once you read, so we can do any of these diets. So for example, I mean, just to name a few, like the keto diet, which is very, very popular. And keto diet was it was essentially made for actually for children with epilepsy, with seizure
Mhm.
disorders. And that's where this diet came about. When medications did not work for kids, well, to control their seizures, this is the diet that they're put on. A high protein, high fat, very low carb
Mhm.
diet. And it's just, and you have to, some will test their urine to make sure they're in ketosis. And
Right.
is that really sustainable? We have to ask ourselves that question. Is that something that I could feel like I can do for a lifetime?
Mhm.
So the weight will come off initially, but then is that something that I can sustain where I am just eating just loads and loads of high fat? And then it puts us at danger. So those with like heart disease, high cholesterol, you're putting yourself at risk for
Mhm.
stroke, heart attack with the high fat where you're putting butter in your coffee and and
Mhm.
so you really have to really be careful with these types of diets because we have talked about the risk of
Mhm.
putting ourselves in extreme danger when especially trying to do it long term
Mhm.
as well.
So how long would be, I guess, long term? Because there's a few YouTubers I follow that have been doing keto for years and they kept it up, but I just wonder, like, I don't really know exactly the length of time, but for those watching that may be considering doing keto, what would be the ideal time that they should do it and then get off?
So try it for like a month.
Okay.
And I would always say, always talk to your primary care provider because
Mhm.
I'm not sure like who has like high cholesterol or
Right.
other risks. So it's not made for everyone.
Mhm.
And so try it for, if you can, try it for a month. I tried it for 2 days and I failed,
Same.
keep-
I
right.
wasn't about that life.
Right. To be totally honest and totally transparent, I tried it. I'm like, this is not sustainable. And that's what we want to think about when we're
Mhm.
talking about diet. Diet is like it just sounds really weird, Shameika, but in our practice, diet is like a taboo word. We do not say the
Mhm.
word diet. We always want to recommend making a lifestyle change
Yeah.
and something that you can do for a lifetime. And that
Mhm.
is doable, it's sustainable, it's achievable, and the weight might not come off as fast or as quick, but look at it as a journey and not so
Mhm.
much as like a race to lose the weight.
That's a great way to look at it because, I think sometimes we tend to think, okay, I got homecoming or whatever coming up in 2 months. Let me drop 30 pounds, and that's, you just can't. I mean, I guess you could if you did all these, but when you get back after you're half hanging on after hanging out with all you're reconnecting with your friends, then what? Like, so,
Right.
um, we were also mentioning, oh, let me remind everybody, if you do have questions, please drop them in the chat and then we'll get to them. But TikTok has been like a major place where
Yeah.
like there's been influencers talking about different diets. And I don't know if they're the ones creating the diets or where they're coming from, but there's like one that I had never heard of called the Ozempic diet.
Yes.
Can you talk about that one?
So that was fun, like looking up too, and going on and looking on TikTok to see that how popular it was. So we all know the drug out now, Ozempic,
Right.
and so the claim behind this particular diet is for breakfast. You would take half a cup of oatmeal, squeezing lime juice on it and water and blending it and drinking it. Yummy. And then some were adding a little cinnamon, I guess, to make it taste a little better.
For a little razzle dazzle.
On there, a little sprinkle. And I was like, okay, that'll make it a little better, huh? No.
Yeah.
So the thought behind this is because oatmeal has so much fiber, so it
Mhm.
will give you like that feeling of fullness for a longer period of time. And then also, a half a cup of oatmeal is about 140 calories. So you're only eating like 140. So it's cutting your calories. You only
Okay.
eat about 140 calories for your breakfast when you drink this, and to drink it every day. And so I forgot the name of that. It's I think he started the challenge, the Charo King or something
Mhm.
on TikTok, and he was saying like he lost the weight, but from the moment that he stopped doing it, he regained the weight back
Mhm.
from once he stopped drinking this, oatmeal smoothie or Ozempic.
Yeah.
Um, so that's how that one works. Not pretty tasty. I'm not sure, guys, if that sounds good to you to have every morning. And and she's like, no,
Nope.
she's like, no,
I can
no.
barely do oatmeal, but once a week, not every day. And with lime juice blended up
And
in it.
lime juice and water. And so, yeah, that's kind of how that diet works. And at the end of the day, all of the diets, all of these fat diets, it's just basically putting us at a caloric deficit, like
Mhm.
cutting the calories. But there are better ways of kind of doing that
Right.
for sure than trying to do some type of, fad that you've seen that could potentially put you at risk. You put your health at risk.
So there's the diets, well, or lifestyle that some of the influencers try to promote, but they're saying, and I've heard some nutritionists as well, that high protein. Well, we know that you should get in a specific amount of protein. We talked about that last week. But there's also the egg diet where you're eating several eggs per meal. What damage could something like that do? I mean, that's a lot of eggs. And
So,
I assume you're gassy eating those eggs.
right. Yes, and it's like the bad gas, like the sulfur type. Oof, I don't know if you people could stand to be around you for too long.
Right. That's a lot of eggs in one day. And expensive because eggs are expensive.
You know, right? So that is again trying to get in all your protein, but
Mhm.
eggs, like for example, two eggs is about 10 grams of protein. So
Mhm.
there are better ways of getting their protein that a lot more tasty. And so with
Mhm.
eggs too, there's the potential of increasing the cholesterol levels in our body too. So you have to really, like you said, be careful. You could put yourself at risk if you're just eating just eggs. But the what was behind it, why this diet was kind of popular, is just trying to get the protein in. But there's, like, you just
Yeah.
go get it, eat a chicken breast, and that'll give you 28 grams of
Right.
protein, rather than eating two eggs at every meal, which is going
Yeah.
to yield us about 10 grams of protein.
So we kind of have mentioned this a little bit, but limiting yourself to 500 to 800 calories. I had a doctor long ago tell me, you can live off 500 calories. And I was
Ooh,
like, maybe you can, but I can't.
ooh.
But and then you've got some nutritionists or dietitians, I don't whatever title, but I've heard some say, well, 1200 calories. What's the danger with that?
So the 500, when we start getting down below 1,000 calories,
Mhm.
we really, really have to be monitored. So I'll be honest with you. So patients that have, when I was working in bariatric surgery, like right after their surgery, they are about on maybe 600, 800 calories a day
Mhm.
for maybe 2 to 3 months, that they're on this low calorie diet. So what happens when we do that though? We put our body, you probably heard of this, like in starvation. So
Yeah.
now the body is saying, wait a minute, I don't know when Shameika's gonna feed me again. So, or
Mhm.
I better hold on to whatever she's giving me. It's like a fight or flight stage.
Yeah.
So now the body's gonna try to hold on to everything. So it's almost like a catch when you try to eat low calorie. Yes, you'll initially lose weight,
Mhm.
and lose it pretty quickly. But after a while, it also will plateau. And so every time, I'm not sure if we all remember the show The Biggest Loser too. So
Mhm.
every time you lose a significant amount of weight, your metabolism actually goes down.
Mhm.
So now the body's saying, I don't have so much body surface area that I need to pump the blood to. So I don't, the body doesn't need to use as much energy. So our metabolism goes down. And on the show, I don't know if you all remember, like after they went home, they would gain the weight back,
Yeah.
that like,
Mhm.
oh, where are they now? They're
Yeah.
back to their weight, because it was so hard to sustain like that low calorie for so long. Their
Mhm.
metabolism has now gone down
Yeah.
after this show, because they've lost such a significant amount of weight. So with this, it's hard. It's very hard to sustain that 800, and calories equals energy. So we
Mhm.
have to have the energy to function. So we do
Right.
need the calories. And so
Mhm.
typically what we do, we'll we'll look at your resting. We have like different machines or calibrations that we can look up. There's a mathematical way to do it, but I try to just avoid that and to just use the computer for it. But it'll test like your resting metabolic weight, and
Mhm.
that is the amount of energy it takes that for your body to run at rest. And
Okay.
so we'll take that and say, okay, your body, it takes 1,800 calories just to run. You're going to burn
Mhm.
1,800 calories at rest. And
Mhm.
so what we do with that number, that's how we come up with how much you should be eating, uh,
Okay.
and versus how much also your exercise, of course, comes into play too, the burning off of the calories. So that's how we come up with the number
Mhm.
to determine how many calories per day you should intake. I try not to focus a lot on it too much, because
Yeah.
then a lot of some get really really fixated on
Mhm.
on numbers.
Yeah, I'm one of those.
Yeah, those too.
Yes. It'll be like 11:58 and I'm like, I didn't get this 500 calories in. Let me go in the kitchen. It's like, no, go to bed. But there's another I guess it's popular, but it's been around for a while, intermittent fasting.
Mhm.
Which does it work or is
So
it just another fad diet?
Again, right? Another way of us cutting to another way of cutting calories or putting our body in a caloric deficit. And like as I mentioned to you earlier too,
Yeah.
the meme that I saw, that it's just the millennials' way of having an excuse not to eat breakfast. So should we give our bodies a chance to like rejuvenate,
Mhm. Yeah.
cells to reform? Yes. But does it take 20 hours to do that or 16? Not so much. So typically 12 hours of fasting is it would be good enough for us to the body to rejuvenate itself. So typically, like for example, if we stop eating at 8 p.m. at night,
Mhm.
then 8 a.m. we should be, that's when we should have our meal. So our next meal. So we've given our body 12 hours
Mhm.
of, rest and not having to digest anything or break down any foods during that time. So that would be best.
Okay.
But intermittent fasting again is just another way, and it's all in how we like look at it. If it
Right.
works for you to cut your calories that way, but at the end of the day, we always want to ask ourselves, is this sustainable?
Mhm.
Uh, Always ask yourself that question. Can I see myself doing this at 80 years old or 70 years
Right.
old?
Right.
Or can I do this for 10 years or even a year uh,
Mhm.
to keep this up?
And another thing that I've seen, I just saw it on social the other day, and I mentioned this to you earlier about these different, medicines, or I don't want to know, maybe they're not called medicines, but maybe um, different things that could help with weight loss, like chlorophyll. Like I've seen the drops,
The
or there's
chlorophyll.
I guess you put it in water and you drink it. What is that about?
So I know when I looked it up, it said chlorophyll can help with skin healing, weight loss, detoxification, and cancer protection
Mhm.
as well. And chlorophyll comes from plants, so parsley and wheatgrass. That their chlorophyll is, and so they make these chlorophyll drops, and there's not enough evidence behind it just yet to say whether or not that it is that it can fulfill all of these, promises of weight loss. It's definitely not enough research. It's to a very, very new.
Mhm.
If one, I would say though, if one would that it's not necessary to probably buy the drops, just eat the parsley or eat the vegetables that it contains chlorophyll in it as well. But I did not see any, we didn't find anything that was like harmful too
Okay.
much in doing it. So I mean, if we got the extra cash to do some chlorophyll drops,
Mhm.
go ahead.
Okay.
And let us know the outcomes, but definitely not enough research out there about it yet.
Okay. And guys, remember, if you have questions, drop it in the chat and we'll get to them. Um, so there, aside from these fad diets, some people have well, you see it everywhere now. Before you didn't see it as much, but now there's a lot of like I guess weight loss places and even online where you can get injections to help with your weight loss. Can you talk a little bit about that and the
Yes.
kinds of injections and how it helps?
Yes, so semaglutide and they have tirzepatide. Has been become very, very popular. Now we've been using these drugs for quite some time, probably about the last 8 years, 9 years or so, but they're just now becoming so very, very popular. And
Mhm.
because the demand for it too, you can find it like you said in these other like telehealth,
Yeah.
um like I had a patient, she told me she got it at the nail shop. So
What?
so I'm like, okay, you get your nails done, get a little, semaglutide while you're at it. So
Mhm.
um it's been found everywhere. So it's been proven, like it's shown very, very good results when
Mhm.
used appropriately. And it's not like something magical as well. I always explain it. It's a tool that we can use to
Yeah.
help with weight loss. And it mimics one of the hormones in our body, a GLP-1
Mhm.
hormone in our body that slows down our digestion and makes us feel full for a
Mhm.
longer period of time. It also helps on like a cellular level where it helps to push insulin back into the cells and it's not hanging out in our bloodstream, which causes weight gain or very difficult to lose weight.
Mhm.
Um, so very effective. It has shown to be very effective with weight loss if done appropriately,
Mhm.
along with making lifestyle changes, diet,
Yep.
and exercise too. So what they're finding, a lot of people are losing weight on this
Mhm.
medication, but they're not changing their diet too much. So you probably hear a lot about the side effects. Oh, they're
Yeah.
vomiting profusely.
Mm.
They have really bad indigestion, end up with or pancreatitis, kidney stones, and you hear about this. But typically, a lot of times, some of those side effects are coming from like what the patient's diet is, like patient
Oh.
induced. A lot of the side effects are.
Mhm.
You really have to avoid high fatty foods, fried fatty foods with that diet. So you can't, take the shot and then go to Wingstop. It's not going to work. I don't
The
know how
wings are protein.
it's fried. It's right. No. So we have to really be like careful what we're eating
Mhm.
while we're taking those medications. They have shown, like I mentioned, to help with some have shown, with, of course, with weight loss,
Mhm.
controlling diabetes. Also, now the new indication is for heart protection as well. So those that have had a stroke in the past or a heart attack, they have the indication for them to use semaglutide or Wegovy to help
Mhm.
prevent further injury to the heart muscle too. So it's very, very effective if used appropriately.
So, for example, because I know they have the different milligrams, I guess,
Mhm.
and are you supposed to increase those shots or the dosage every month or every few weeks? And what happens? Will you still lose weight if you don't increase it and you stay, say, at the lowest dose because that's where you're feeling like if you tried to go up and it makes you nauseous, even if you're eating right and doing all the right things.
Mhm.
So, does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yes, yes.
Okay.
I see it every day. So we want to follow how it was studied and researched. So you usually go up every fifth week, every fourth week until you get to the maintenance dosage, the
Mhm.
higher doses. However, like you mentioned, there's some that if they are struggling with, nausea, vomiting
Mhm.
on a lower dose, do we keep them there? We might keep them there for like an extra round or
Okay.
so. But the intent of the medication is for it to go up because sometimes the body does adapt to certain
Mhm.
medications or you create like antibodies to it. So
Mhm.
the intent is to continue to increase it like every fifth week, and that's how it was studied and researched. So we do try to follow along as
Mhm.
close as possible how the medication was indicated.
So, once you come off of that, if you I don't know how long the maintenance phase lasts, but you come off of it and say then you gain all that weight back. Can you what does it do to your body to go back on that injection?
So typically, like what I have seen, yeah. So we try to. It's approved. So put it out there. It's approved for long term use because it's
Okay.
essentially a diabetic medication,
Mhm.
and so we have to treat obesity as if it's any other obesity as a disease. It is classified as a disease now. So we have to treat it that way. So just because we reach our goal weight does not
Mhm.
mean we come off of the medication.
Right.
So, for example, just like if you had high blood pressure, hypertension, and now your blood pressure is stable, that doesn't necessarily mean we take you off of your blood pressure
Gotcha.
medication. We may make some tweaks if it gets too low or something like that, but doesn't mean we take you off of it. So we try to make sure patients like stay on it. And
Mhm.
like you mentioned the maintenance phase. So we have some they're now taking, they'll take their injection every other week just to prevent the weight regain. You don't want to
Mhm.
come off of it too fast, like you said. Now, what I've seen too, like if someone tries to restart it, will they see the same weight
Mhm.
loss as they saw previously? And that goes back to what we were talking about with like
Right.
the biggest loser. Now you've lost a significant amount of weight
Yeah.
and now your metabolism has gone down. So it's going to be a little bit harder that
Mhm.
second go round to
Yeah.
lose the weight. And because one, the body has made antibodies, and two, now our metabolism is lower. So you really have to exercise. That's like the best way to boost the metabolism is through exercise.
I did see a question about exercise. Let me
Oh,
see.
okay.
Um, they were wondering if exercising in the morning before eating, if that will help with faster weight loss.
No, you get it in where you could always get it in where you could fit it in.
Mhm.
Exercise it whether it's in the morning or not at night. It really doesn't like some people like feel better in the
Mhm.
morning when they jump start their day. I'll say that. Like some I have they will jump start their day with exercise and they are like energized
Mhm.
because it you revved up the metabolism so they're energized throughout the day. I'll say that rather than doing it at night. And now some patients that do it at exercise at night,
Mhm.
they tend to sleep better. So,
Yeah, wow. I'm like, those are the chosen ones that can do it in the morning that have the time to do it.
oh, yeah, right, right, right.
Now, there's a lot of talk about appetite suppressants because
Yeah.
someone brought that question up last week, wondering are appetite suppressants okay, and how does it affect the body by doing that?
Yeah, so I am a huge advocate for utilizing appetite suppressants. Just like while you're making these lifestyle changes, I want it to not be so torturous, and we don't want you hangry, like hungry and angry.
Yeah.
So it really it really helps. So there are several oral medications and also of course injections as we talked about that help with suppressing the appetite
Mhm.
and they have worked very well and you have to really sit down with like maybe an obesity medicine specialist or your doctor if they may know or they may refer you to some type of weight loss facility that can really sit down with you. And I always highly recommend that they go over the different side effects of each medication
Mhm.
with you to see which one best fits you.
Mhm.
And that you can take. I have some that they don't want to take a pill every day, or I have some that they are deathly afraid of needles, so they
Mhm.
don't want to do the injection. So just to have someone really sit down, like for example, you have like Qsimia that's out there. That's a mixture of phentermine and Topamax.
Mhm.
So you have to talk with your doctor if there is a likelihood of you becoming like maybe pregnant. You don't. That's the one you might not want to choose because it's
Mhm.
considered a pregnancy X drug that it could cause fetal harm. So if you become, pregnant or you're not taking some form of birth control. So that's what I always recommend. Sit down with a healthcare provider so they can go over all of the different side effects, the risk versus benefits for the medication.
Let's see. Kathy Wright is asking, is freezing fat cells or body contouring a real thing and does it last? That's a good question. I wondered that too.
Oh, yeah. So it is evidence based. Funny enough, it is scientifically proven that it works. Like but I think she's like the cool sculpting. I think she might
Yeah.
be that it's called the freezing of the fat cells. Yes, it does work. I recommend it when I would say I recommend body contouring when let's say you've lost you've gotten down to your goal weight or very close to it, and you have like that little stubborn belly fat or something
Mhm.
that just didn't go away, that might be like the most appropriate time, but not using that as a weight loss,
Okay.
method. I always think it works best once you've gotten down to your goal weight. And now some ask, will it come back?
Mhm.
And so I know we probably have all seen, even with some of the surgeries, like, when we do liposuction
Yeah.
and things like, and will it come back? It usually redistributes in the other areas.
Mhm.
So maybe now the body looks a little, you know, disformed
Oh, okay.
now, because the fat is going to find somewhere to go. So
Mhm.
it might, um, it might come back, like I mentioned, in another area or something. But
Okay.
so it is scientifically proven that it does, the cool stuff he does work. Yeah.
Well, wanted to go back to the appetite suppressant real quick
Okay.
before I forget what what I was going to ask. Because you are trying to make sure that you've got to eat to lose weight, but if you're
Yes.
with the appetite suppressant, then you're not hungry. So how
How
does
does
that
that
play a
work?
role?
That's a good
Yeah.
question. So I would say it does. I've tried it all. I'm very transparent about my story. So um, it won't totally shut it down only,
Okay.
but that's when it comes into play that you are being mindful and purposeful, intentional about like your meal planning, so that you are making sure that you're getting in the proper nutrients, and that you're being followed by someone that you can draw your blood and check your albumin levels, making sure you're not becoming malnourished. I think we were talking about like how hair loss can occur too if you're not
Right.
eating enough calories. So I always recommend it that we make sure that we set these goals, like you need to get this much protein in every day,
Mhm.
no matter if you're on the appetite suppressant or not. And if we see someone's not totally eating at all, then that's when we like back up off the dosage or change the medication,
Mhm.
to make sure that, because at the end of the day, yes, we want you to be healthy first over anything else.
Right. Mhm.
Too.
Do you happen to see women that are perimenopausal, menopausal more often because that weight becomes hard to budge? Like, do you get a lot of have a lot of patients that are dealing with that? And what is the best way for them to lose weight? Because I mentioned to you, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I went to this weight loss clinic after having a hysterectomy, and that weight would still not budge, even with the appetite suppressant.
Yes, we see that very, very often. That it's super difficult
Hmm.
to lose weight during menopause. So now we're just starting getting into looking at hormone levels, because it
Okay.
plays a huge part. And so we do like might have to add and do a little hormone replacement therapy to
Okay.
help jumpstart here again, that metabolism, to
Mhm.
get you in the weight loss mode for sure.
Oh, that's good to know. You guys, we got a few more minutes. You can get those questions in. When you're talking weight loss, and what to eat, how important is it to kind of have your own, like a personalized weight loss plan, or lifestyle eating plan, meal plan? And what factors should you consider when you're making your grocery list and you're planning out your meals? What should people really be looking at? Because if the goal is to lose weight, or if it's their goal is now to maintain that weight loss,
Mhm.
what should they be? How should they be going about planning these meals?
So having a well balanced diet, I said it right.
Mhm.
Well balanced
I was gonna ignore it, but yeah.
life. So meaning that we're getting enough protein, vegetables in our meal, and even carbohydrates and fat. All of those things are needed. And so everything like in moderation too.
Mhm.
Um I, and it's okay. I want to, like I mentioned, I don't want you to feel like you're like torturing yourself while you're
Right.
going through making these lifestyle changes. Some will come in and be like, "Oh my gosh, Dr. E, I had a slice of cake," and I'm like, "Okay, was it good? Yeah, it was good. Okay, I just want to make sure it was worth it.
Mhm.
Have the cake. Just don't eat the whole cake. It's
Mhm.
okay." So being well, just having a well balanced meal, meaning your protein, your fiber, and that's when you could sit down with like a dietitian, because they
Mhm.
really, and we have that too. They really help with designing the plate for you, and they
Okay.
can take a look at maybe your some of your lab values from blood work that was done to really factor in, okay, this is how much, and they also factor in like how much you're working out, because that
Mhm.
determines how much protein that you'll
Mhm.
need, and the veggies and the water. You definitely, and like I mentioned, we still need to have carbs. You hear about low carb, low carb, low carb, but we need carbs, uh,
Mhm.
because again, that's energy. We need carbs to function. So not totally just wiping out one of the food groups.
Mhm.
That's something that we definitely want to avoid.
Okay.
To having a good mix of all of it, and mindful eating, pay attention to our bodies and the cues that it gives us. Our body tells us, hey girl, you are full, but we will ignore that little cue,
Mhm.
let me get this last bite in, you know.
Right.
So, and just then we have something here we practice mindful eating,
Mhm.
and just listening and being aware of where you are. Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Asking yourself those questions.
Mhm.
Um, and like I mentioned, watching our portions, I think that's the
Yeah.
biggest concern. Just in America,
Mhm.
the portion sizes are just astronomical. Oh my
Right.
goodness, we went to a restaurant. It was like equivalent to like 4 serving sizes for one plate.
Oh, wow.
And so just watching that, and it's okay. I've been trying to do it more and more at different restaurants. I'll ask
Mhm.
them, can they box up half
Mhm.
and bring out to me half of
Oh.
my entree, so that hey guys, that's something definitely that you can try to do
Mhm.
to help us prevent us from eat, because usually we want to eat whatever's in front of us.
Right.
So to help with that, have them, and there are more and more restaurants are doing it. Have them to box up part of it, and
Mhm.
bring out a portion for you, as to definitely help cut those portion sizes.
Those are some great tips. And so, my last
Huh?
question, I
Huh?
ask everybody this, but what feeds your soul? And it always cracks me up when we're talking about weight loss, and then I'm asking this
Lord
question.
feeds my
What
soul.
feeds your soul?
That's a good question. And what feeds my soul is I love to see others accomplish like their goals. Oh my goodness. It just does something for me. A lot of times I'm more excited than like the patients are. Like, oh my gosh, we did it. Because I felt like I have been a part of your journey, and
Mhm.
it's become a part of my goal. So helping others accomplish their goal, it's solely my passion, and it just really really helps me too. It motivates me to continue to want to help others.
Oh, I love that. And you can see you I can feel the passion coming from you. I really can.
Uh,
For those that and I don't know if you all, I guess that's a question that, can you help people from other states, or do they have to be in Florida?
they have to be in Florida, but
Okay.
I'm a part of a lot of different groups that are everywhere worldwide. So usually, if someone contacts me, I can put them in contact with someone in that state to help
Okay.
them on their journey. And these are people that of course, I kind of trust, and I've kind of vetted myself. Um,
Mhm.
and so that's who I typically will okay, let me connect you with this person, but
Okay.
typically I help patients in the state of Florida.
Okay. And for those in Florida, how can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram, Dr. Mrs. Francois. That's where I am the most, or on Facebook right here. And newvitalitylife.com is our website. You can shoot me a DM if you need to, and I can connect you to get started here with us, or you can make an appointment online. Um, all methods of communication. Our phone number is on the website. You can text or call the phone number too. So yes, you can definitely find me. And I we are happy to have you.
I love it. Well, thank you, Dr. Francois. This has been great, informational. I've learned a lot, so I hope everybody else has
Okay,
too.
good. I was about to say, I hope I answered all the questions.
You did. You were
Okay.
great. Yes. So you'll have to come back. We'll have to find a whole nother
Yes.
angle about weight loss. So everybody in
Okay.
the chat, if you have another idea, topic idea, let me know because this is
Bring it up.
fun. Just
Yes.
coming up with different show ideas. But for everybody else, for more information on ways to lose weight and maintain it, head over to blackdoctor.org and catch up on all the articles over there. But as for me, there's a schedule change. I will see you guys next Thursday at
Oh,
7 o'clock instead of Wednesday, Thursday for Soulibration. We'll be taking a look at addictions and
mm,
reducing a person's desire to consume opioids and alcohol.
mm.
So I want the rest of you to have a soul filled rest of the week, and I will see you next Thursday for a Soulibration. I was about to mess that up. Like, wait, when is it? Thursday. Have a good night, y'all.